So the 8 big flirting mistakes that men make with women and the fix for each one. Somewhere along the way, men forgot how to flirt. And I don't say that to be harsh. I say it because it's true. I watch it happen every single day where you meet a woman, you're actually into her, but instead of flirting with her, the guy just sort of talks at her, safe, polite, very careful, like you're trying not to get into trouble. And I get why. Think about how most guys spend their time now. You're swiping, right? You're typing hey into a little box, waiting 4 days to get a ha-ha back. You're watching 3 dots appear, then disappear, then appear again. You've had entire relationships that lived and died inside a phone. You can go weeks without one real back and forth conversation with a woman. So when you finally get in front of a woman, it's natural to be a little rusty. The muscle's still there, you just haven't used it in a long time. The good news is flirting isn't a gift that you're born with. It's a set of moves, specific things that you can say, things you can do that pull a conversation out of nice and friendly and into something with a little bit of spark behind it. So I'm gonna walk you through the 8 mistakes that kill it and the exact fix for each one. And I'm gonna give you the actual lines that you can use to fix these, and you can use them tonight if you want. So let's get right into it. Hi, I'm Bobby Rio, and trust me, I learned all 8 of these lessons the hard way, and I wanna share the 10 most common ones and a simple fix for each of them to save you the trouble. And I wanna start with this one right here, because this one is deadly, and it's so easy to fall into this one. So this mistake number 1, is getting stuck in interview mode. So watch what most guys do the second a conversation starts. They reach for the safe questions. So what do? Where'd you grow up? You have any brothers or sisters? And there's nothing wrong with any of those questions. At some point, they're gonna come up, right? But they don't create attraction. So until a woman is actually attracted to you, asking these questions is sort of pointless, right? Because if you're not attracted to somebody, they don't really care if you have a brother or sister or where you grow up. The first thing you need to do is create that spark of tension, right? The problem is that the whole conversation often winds up in this interview mode and you never move out of it. Question, answer, next question, answer. And you're not really talking to her. You're collecting data and facts. And honestly, it's shit that has no real relevance on her right now. But worse, here's what's happening on her side while you're doing this. She's answering on autopilot, okay? You have to understand this. When you ask her these questions, her brain flips into autopilot mode. She's given these exact answers 100 times to 100 guys before. Her mouth is moving, but nothing's really going on inside. There's no tension. There's no reason to feel anything because facts don't make anybody feel anything. You knowing what she does for a living or where she went to college has never once given a woman butterflies. And the worst part is that you can feel the conversation dying. You feel the energy leaking out of the conversation. So you panic. And what do? You grab another safe question, right? Which just digs the hole deeper. So how do you stop interview mode? So here's the fix. Make statements instead of questions. Very simple shift. Instead of asking her things, guess. Tell her about herself. Read her based on observations, based on her personality, about who she is. So here's an example. Instead of saying, do you have any pets? You look at her for a second and you say, you totally seem like a cat person. And watch what that does. Now she's not reciting a fact. Now she's reacting to you. She either goes, how'd you know? Or, no way, I'm totally a dog person. What's wrong with you? Either way, now she's in it, right? Now there's a little back and forth, a little friction in the conversation. And if she admits she's a cat person or she's got cats, you lean in and go, so you're one of those women, right? Bunch of cats, talks to them, the whole thing, huh? You know, you're teasing her a little bit and now she's laughing. Now she's defending herself. Now for the first time, the two of you are actually playing, right? I always say that when it comes to interacting with a woman, when it comes to flirting, you want to take her back to the playground. You want to get out of the current reality that you're in with her, and you want to be back on the playground in the 5th grade where you're teasing her and you're interacting with her like a couple of kids with crushes on each other on the playground. That's flirting. It's the two of you reacting to each other. So an analogy that I like to use also is, imagine that there's a giant spotlight over the two of you. And when you're talking about your job or where she she grows up, or, what she likes to do for fun, the spotlight is shining on that conversation topic. When you're reacting to each other, right? When there's that back and forth banter, the spotlight is shining on the both of you. And that's when chemistry happens, when the spotlight is shining on you, not when it's you telling this long story about your job, not when it's her answering your questions. It's when there's that back and forth. You go and you're a cat person, her going, why do you say that? You going, you just give me that talk to your cat vibe. And now there's that playfulness. That is where chemistry occurs. All right, mistake number 2. You're too scared to break rapport. You're too scared to break the good vibe. This one is sneaky because it doesn't feel like a mistake. The conversation's going great, it's smooth, it's easy, you're both smiling, and that feels like it's working, right? So you begin to do everything you can to protect this good conversation you imagine you're having. You keep it light, you keep it agreeable. You don't want to say anything that might rock the boat a little bit because the boat feels nice. She seems to like talking to you, so you don't want to mess it up. But here's what you're not seeing. Here's the sort of invisible game under the surface. A conversation that stays perfectly pleasant only goes one place, the friend zone, because nice and easy is comfortable, and comfortable is the opposite of attraction. Remember this, attraction requires tension. Without tension, there's no charge, there's none of that electricity, and you're just two people having a lovely sort of forgettable chat. And at the end, she's gonna think he was sweet, which is the kiss of death. You have to be willing to poke a hole in the niceness. So here's the fix. Break the friendly vibe with a tease or a rapport breaking comment. So what you do is you take that safe, pleasant conversation and right in the middle of it, you interrupt the flow. So she's telling you about how she does CrossFit. And most guys would go, oh, that's so cool, must be in good shape, whatever, right? Ask her questions. That's what most guys do. And that keeps the flow good, right? You're in rapport. Maybe you tell her about your workout, but that just keeps it in that nice conversation and it never leads to flirting. And at some point you have to do something. You have to make some sort of comment that pokes a hole in the niceness. So maybe she's talking about CrossFit and you say, you're not gonna talk to me for the next hour about how many squats you can do and how much you can deadlift and then try to recruit me into your cult, are you? And you say it playfully, right, with a little smirk, but you don't dull the comment and bring it back to niceness by saying, oh, I'm just kidding, tell me about it, right? Because when you say something like that, when you tease her like that, like you're not gonna tell me how many squats you do, you're not gonna try to recruit me into your cult, you can feel a shift there. You just took the temperature of the conversation and you turned it up about 10 degrees. You broke the polite little bubble that the two of you were in and you made it about the two of you right now in this room. You're kind of messing with her a little bit, you're kind of teasing her, and that brings tension into the conversation. And what did we say about tension? It needs to be there for her to feel anything other than friend zone comfortable with you. And notice, it's playful. You're not being an asshole about it, right? You're not gonna rip her apart for doing CrossFit, but you're also showing her that you're not intimidated by her. You're willing to tease her a little bit. You're not gonna just, nod your head and agree with her. That's the whole move. A perfectly nice conversation is a slow walk into the friend zone. So if you feel it getting too comfortable, you gotta break it on purpose. All right, the next one. Mistake number 3 is, this is sort of in that realm. It's being overly agreeable. It's agreeing with everything she says. Some guys nod along with everything a woman says like a bobblehead doll nodding along, right? Just, yeah. Oh yeah, totally. No, I get that. Same, honestly. Couldn't agree more. I was at a table listening to a guy who was clearly on a first date with a woman. And she's sort of bad-mouthing guys, saying how we're all misogynistic nowadays and how guys are not romantic anymore and all, she's kind of just bad-mouthing guys. And this guy is nodding his head saying, yeah, so true. It's really embarrassing to be a straight man nowadays. I'm like, what the heck? What is this guy doing? It's like they think they're building a connection. Like, look how much we have in common. I hate straight men too. Even though I'm a straight man trying to sleep with you. Look how easy I am to get along with. That's what the guy is trying to do. Look, I'm easy. I'm not like one of those assholes that you're probably gonna chase, right? She's gonna love this. She's gonna love how agreeable and nice I am. But that's not what happens because that's not what she's feeling on the other side of this. What she's feeling is nothing, because a guy who agrees with everything gives her nothing to push against. There's no edge, there's no opinion of his own, there's no spine of his own. And there's a word that women have for that guy, and it's never a good one. Again, attraction needs tension. It needs two people who don't line up perfectly. And every time that you agree just to keep the peace, you're sanding down the exact thing that creates a spark. So here's the fix. Disagree with her playfully. You don't have to fight her. You just have to show her there's a real person in there with his own mind, his own personality. Maybe she's telling you all about her strict, all organic, gluten-free, sunlight-only diet. Instead of nodding along like a good boy, you smirk and you go, yeah, see, I'd kill for a slice of pizza right now, but don't tell your health club though. They'll take away my membership. That's it. You disagreed with her and you made her laugh doing it. You showed her that you've got actual preferences. You're not just gonna mirror her back just to win her approval. That little bit of I don't agree with you is attractive because it means your approval is worth something. You're not handing it out like a participation trophy. All right, mistake number 4. You hide the fact that you want her, that you have sexual intentions with her. This is the classic nice guy trap. You're attracted to her, right? Obviously, that's the whole reason that you're talking to her, but you hide it. You bury it so deep that she'd never know. She might know, but she never feels that desire. You keep everything friendly. You keep it warm. You keep it neutral. You act like, you'd be happy just being her buddy. And the plan, if you can even call that plan, is to eventually she'll notice how great you are and just catch feelings on her own and make the first move herself. Well, that never happens. You know what happens instead? She files you under friend and she does not reopen that file because you never gave her a reason to see you any other way. You spent the whole time being safe, reads as no attraction at all. She has to feel that you want her. She has to know that you desire her. The trick is showing it while proving that you're not desperate for it. So here's the fix. Show desire with self-control. And here's how you thread that needle. I'll give you 2 examples. First, she's telling you about her trip to Italy and you stop, you look right at her and you say, okay, I totally lost track of what you were saying. The way you look in that dress tonight, I'm actually a little annoyed at you. I'm gonna be distracted this whole conversation now. So if I start saying dumb stuff, that's completely your fault. Simple. Or somewhere mid-conversation, you just drop it in casually, almost like it's a little problem you're having. Like, oh, okay, that thing you just did with your hair, I completely lost my train of thought. I'm honestly kind of thinking about kissing you right now, but you're gonna have to control yourself. We're in public. Look at everything that line does all at once. Now you can use your own variation. Whenever I give you lines, if you're like, I wouldn't say that, tweak it to what you would say, but I want you to look at what that line does. 1, you told her you want her. No more hiding it, right? There's no more, this could just be a friendly conversation. Either she's into you and she allows this conversation to continue in this flirtatious level, or she's not into you and she kind of ends it. But at least this way, you're not gonna have a 45-minute conversation with her and wonder why she goes, oh, I just saw you as a friend. You're putting it out there. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2 is you wrapped it in a joke. So there's zero neediness, there's zero creepiness. You're not going, you have beautiful eyes, I would love to take you out sometime. That's not flirting, right? That's just being like complimenting her and being kind of needy. And now you're putting it on her because now she has to go, oh, thank you, and like compliment you back. That doesn't work, right? What you just did there is you did it in a playful way and you also flipped it like she's the one who needs to hold back. Did you catch that? Where you say something like, you're gonna have to control yourself tonight. So now you're being playful, right? That's flirting, right? That's flirting. You're not the harmless friend anymore. You're a man who finds her attractive and who's completely relaxed about it. And also you're socially intelligent enough to be playful and to flip it around that she's gotta control herself. All of this is the language of attraction. And that combination is what makes her start seeing you differently. Hiding your attraction doesn't make you safe. It makes you invisible to her. Now, real quick, before we get to the next technique, if you're the type of guy who needs things broken down word for word, what to say, how to say it, and specific techniques for doing this, I've got a brand new handbook called the Friendly to Flirty Pivot System, and it contains over 25 word for word ways to create the feeling of chemistry with a woman that you're talking to. Things like the push-pull technique, the qualification flip, the agree and amplify formula, the future projection, and 20 more of them. And you can download it in the description below. Okay, so let's get into the next one. So mistake number 5 is panicking during pauses. You panic the second it goes quiet. There's a natural pause in the conversation, just a beat of quiet, and most guys treat that half a second of silence like it's an emergency, like it's a fire and you gotta grab the fire extinguisher and put it out as quickly as possible. You feel it coming and your stomach drops like, oh no, it's quiet. say something, fix it, right? Anything. And a lot of times you get diarrhea of the mouth at that point. You just wind up losing all the attraction because you just started blurting out just stupid stuff. Or you just go back to interview mode and you go, things were going good, and then you revert back, or you just go into crazy weather lately, huh? And now you've made it worse because that scramble to fix the silence tells her that you're not comfortable with this sort of tension. I need you to approve of me or I start to panic. It says, I can't just be here with you. And it also says, I can't be seductive, because here's the irony. That silence that you're so scared of, that's where a ton of the tension actually lives, right? You just have to be secure enough to let it sit. You have to be able to take that tension and use it to slow things down, move it to that more seductive level of a conversation. So here's the fix. Learn to hold the pause. Next time there's a pause, don't fill it. Just let it happen. Hold her eye contact a little bit. Have a little smirk on your face. 3 full seconds, just say nothing. 3 seconds might feel like forever when you're not used to it, but watch her. Her mind starts going, why is he looking at me like that? What's he thinking? That's tension, and you created it by doing nothing. If it ever tips into genuinely awkward, right? Because if you do just totally freeze and it does feel awkward, you use another technique that I teach called breaking the fourth wall, and you play with it, right? So breaking the fourth wall is when you just acknowledge the elephant in the room. So in this situation, if there's an uncomfortable tension, you go, oh no, our first awkward silence. It's okay, we'll get through it together, I promise, right? Now even the silence is working for you because you've made it playful. It shows her that, you're completely secure, that you have social intelligence, that things don't get awkward with you, and that's rare. She feels it. Silence doesn't have to be a hole you have to fill. It's tension that you get to use. So mistake number 6, you try to impress her with your resume. A lot of guys think attraction is a resume, so they lead with the highlight reel, the job title, the car, the salary, I actually own a couple of properties. You try to find a way to weave these things into a conversation. They're basically building a case for why they're a good pick. And I get it, on logic, on paper, it should work. But attraction doesn't happen on a logical level. That's why the guys who are very often perfect on paper don't actually create attraction in the real world. It happens in the moment. It happens in how she feels as she's talking to you. So think about it from her side. The guy listing his accomplishments isn't fun to be around. He's a little tense, a little try hard. Meanwhile, the guy who teases her, who makes her laugh, who makes her feel something, he could have a half the bank account and win every time, because she's not going to remember your job title. She's going to remember the level of attraction she felt, how much she wanted to kiss you, how easy you were to talk to, how much fun she had. Those are the things that matter. So here's the fix. Trade the highlight reel for a little humorous honesty. So what do I mean by this? Instead of trying to look impressive, actually do the opposite. Show her that you're a real human who doesn't take himself too seriously. Tell the slightly embarrassing story. And I want to be clear, slightly embarrassing. This is not about, being completely vulnerable and telling her how you're whatever, right? Your dad didn't love you growing up and you got picked on, and this is not the time for that. When I say slightly embarrassing, I mean the one that you can laugh at yourself over, right? The one that's humorous. I call it cool vulnerability. The kind of stories that celebrities often tell when they're on a talk show, right? Where they get on and they want to humanize themselves. Here's an example. You tell her you're driving, your window's down, you're feeling amazing, and some old Madonna song comes on, and you just go all in, right? You're belting it, full performance, drumming on the steering wheel, and you glance over at the red light, and there's a car full of teenagers in the next car, and they're just staring at you, snickering, right? And they watch the whole thing, and you're laughing about how ridiculous you felt. Now, there's nothing inherently bad about you, right? The story doesn't make you look bad, but it shows that you're willing to laugh at yourself. It'll probably get her to tell a humorous anecdote about herself, and now the two of you are able to just not take this whole interaction seriously. It also kind of does the opposite, right? It kind of makes her go, oh, this guy isn't trying to impress me. And this does more to impress her than any accomplishment that you could ever give her, because it makes you human. It takes the impressive guy armor off and shows her that you're comfortable enough with yourself to laugh at yourself. And that's actually what's attractive, not the resume. She won't remember what you do for a living. She'll remember how you made her feel, right? And when we talk about conversation and connection, it's connecting over emotion. And when you tell her a story like this, you're connecting over that emotion of being caught in this ridiculous scenario. All right, mistake number 7, not changing the subject. You wait for the perfect time to change the subject. So this is something a lot of guys have faced, or you've been stuck in this situation where you're like, yeah, I get it, Bobby. I know I'm supposed to tease her and I'm supposed to flirt with her, but the conversation just landed on something boring, and she was the one talking about it, and she kept going on and on, right? Some tangent about a coworker that you're never gonna meet, or her dead grandma, or the contractor who overcharged her. And you're sitting there half listening, thinking to yourself, how do I get us off this topic? I need a smooth way to change the subject, something natural so it's not weird. And what happens is you wait and you wait and you wait, and that perfect, graceful exit never shows up. So you just ride that boring topic all the way into the ground. So here's what you have to accept. There is no smooth transition. It does not exist. The confident move is just to change the subject directly out of nowhere because you felt like it. That is leading a conversation. When we talk about this idea of being the leader, you have to be willing. You have to be the architect of attraction. And if you're trying to architect an attractive conversation, you have to recognize we are in a dead-end topic right now. Her talking about her ex-boyfriend is not going to lead to anything here. Her complaining about, how her mom liked her sister better is not going to lead to any kind of attraction. So here's the fix. Cut in and take over, right? Be the man, lead, cut in the conversation, and change the subject. The move is what my friend Rob Judge calls the Zach Morris timeout. It's a reference to the old show Saved by the Bell, if you're not familiar who Zach Morris is. So here's how it works. When she's rambling on about something that is a dead-end conversation, what you do is you put your hand up playfully and you stop the whole scene. Like, whoa, time out for a second. I gotta know, where's that accent from? You're secretly from someone way more interesting than you're letting on, aren't you? Yes, it's abrupt. That's the point, right? You just grabbed the conversation and you steered it somewhere better, and you did it without asking permission. And here's the part that matters. Leading like that is attractive all by itself. It shows her that you're not passively along for the ride, that you're not the kind of guy who's gonna deal with some boring conversation. You'll take control and you'll make the whole thing fun. Women feel that instantly. There's no perfect way to change the subject, so you just have to freaking change it. And here's the last one, and it's important because if you try to flirt with a woman, right? If you try and you're doing everything right, she will usually push back at times, and you have to be ready for it. So mistake number 8 is you crumble when she tests you. Every so often, a woman's gonna throw a little jab at you. You're kind of full of yourself, huh? Or she might say, I don't usually go for guys who wear hats, or is that your line? You seem like you say this to every girl. And in that moment, it feels like an attack. Your stomach tightens and your instinct is to defend yourself. No, I'm actually really down to earth. Or, oh, this hat, I just threw it on. Or, no, I swear, I don't do this a lot. You're the first girl I've said this to. Stop, that's the trap, because that comment was never a real complaint. It was a test. She was poking at you to see what happens. Is his confidence real, or does it fall apart the second I push on it? And the moment you start explaining yourself, defending yourself, trying to, rationalize why you did something or whatever, right? You failed the test. You just showed her it was a costume, right? So here's the fix. Don't defend, agree, and shrug it off. The move is to be completely unbothered. So unbothered, it's almost funny. She says, I don't like guys who wear baseball hats. And you say, yeah, I don't like women who wear hats either, especially those like furry Russian looking ones. They're very pretentious. And then you just go on with whatever you were saying. Or you could just go, oh, good to know, thanks for the fashion advice, and just go on again like nothing happened. Just, you say what you say, and then you don't keep going with that thread. You just move it forward and you don't acknowledge it again. Maybe she says, just so you know, I'm not sleeping with you tonight. You shrug it off. You go, of course not. We'll just cuddle. And you brush right past it. See what that does? She pushed and you didn't move an inch. You didn't get defensive. You didn't explain. You didn't flinch. That's the whole test, and you passed it without breaking a sweat. And every time you pass one of these tests, your value and attraction begins to climb in her eyes. Her test isn't a problem to solve. It's a chance to show that nothing shakes you. Now what you have to keep in mind is this. From the very first minute, you set the tone. Treat her like you already know her. Warm, familiar, a little playful. This is what leading is. As the man, you're not sitting back waiting for her to say something flirty. You're not sitting back and waiting for her to give you the green light to take it to that more intimate, flirty level. Don't just stand there being polite and formal, right, waiting for your right to earn, a chance to flirt with her. She's never gonna lead the vibe. That's your job as the man. So you don't want her to flirt with you first, right? You don't wait for that. You don't, it's not like, oh man, she's being she's asking me interview questions. I guess that's what she wants. No, you change the vibe. You break rapport. You cut off the interview mode. You change the topic when it's running on fumes. Again, if you're not sure or if this doesn't come natural to you, grab a copy of my Friendly to Flirty Pivot System. It's a handbook with 24 moves. These are things that you can do to move it out of the friendly platonic zone and begin creating attraction. Moves like the playful assumption, the disqualifier, setting false barriers, partners in crime technique. You can download it at the link in the description. So that's the 8 mistakes and the exact fix for each one. And if you look back at all of them, there's really one thing underneath it. Every single fix is about being willing to lead, to break the polite bubble, to make a cold read, take a risk, change the subject, hold the pause, make the move. Flirting was never about being the slickest guy in the room. It's about being the one guy who's actually willing to go first. Most guys won't, which is exactly why it works so well when you do it. Now, if you like this video, hit the like button, leave a comment, and make sure you subscribe.